Hello there. Hello and welcome to the 56th Chicago International Film Festival's Critics Picks, where we invite film critics to share with us and you their top festival picks. My name is Alejandro Riera. I'm publicist for the Chicago International Film Festival and film critic for both Cosamos and Remezcla. And for our first segment, I am pleased to be joined by a critic who in the past year has become one of the leading and most important voices and exciting ones in film criticism, Robert Daniels. Besides writing for his own film blog, 8112 Film Reviews, Robert has also lately contributed to such important film outlets as RogerEbert.com, Consequence of Sound, Vulture, and The Playlist. Welcome, Robert.
Thanks, Alejandro.
So let's start by talking about some of the films that you have already seen at other festivals. I've been following your Twitter feed. I know you're really enthusiastic about some. Let's start with the one you feel people shouldn't absolutely miss.
Yeah, so the first one that came to mind was Night of the Kings by Philippe Lecourt. It's his second feature film. It's my first time seeing his work, and the film is just fantastic. It's set in West Africa, in a jail in West Africa, and it's a film that worships storytelling, mixes historical, cinematic, and theatrical. To create this mystifying story about this, kid who has to survive the night by telling a story that's steeped in African folklore. The lead performance is a breakout lead performance, and it's a gorgeous looking film too.
It's one film that's been acquired by Neon Films, and it's fortunate because Africa has this great history of filmmaking behind it, but unfortunately most of it doesn't ever get any release here in the United States. So the fact that films like Night of the Kings and Rafiki are, I don't know if we could call them exception to the rule, but at least it's a good sign that they're finally being picked up for distribution.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the globalization that greater distribution is bringing, and now like these voices are starting to come out. I think more into mainstream cinephile discourse.
I know you were excited about Sylvie's Love. The trailer came out today, so tell us a little bit about Sylvie's Love. I know you saw it at Sundance. What was your first impression when you got out of that screening?
Oh, I just felt like I'd come out of a classic 1950s MGM romance. I mean, it's a film where the cinematography is just gorgeous. The costumes are gorgeous. It's set in the late 1950s, and it stars Tessa Thompson as this career woman who is trying to break into advertising, and she falls in love with this jazz musician. And it's so touching. It's so cute. And it's Eugene Ash, the director's debut feature film. And yeah, so it's one of those films that, if it's a great late night kind of romance kind of swoon.
Well, and the sad part, of course, is like this being a virtual experience, we don't get to sort of go out into the night and sort of revisit those emotions, that romance.
Well, at Sundance, it was going out into like 30-degree like wind, but it was still. I still felt the burning romance inside of me.
So, what other films are on your list?
Oh yeah, so there's a film that I saw at TIFF called New Order by Michel Franco, which is just fantastic. A lot of people when they watch it will probably get Parasite vibes off of it, because it's if it's capitalistic, anti-capitalistic narrative, very much an eat the rich kind of theme to it, but it's also bloody, it's violent, it's unexpected, it's exciting. And Neon Gonzalez Norvid gives a really fantastic breakout performance in the lead role.
Right. That's one of the films that's leading our Cinema of the Americas program as well. And Michel Franco has been a unique Mexican filmmaker because he doesn't kowtow to the traditional way of Mexican filmmaking. I mean, he's got a particular vision. I mean, he's, for example, a couple of films past, he dealt with the issue of bullying and child abuse. He's dealt with issues like migration. So it doesn't surprise me personally to see him tackle this environment of mass protest, of one percenters, the class divides, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was the first film that I've seen from him, and I was just blown away. It was a fun time. It's a fun watch.
What would be another film from the ones you've seen so far?
Yeah, so MLK FBI is another one. That
Mhm.
documentary, which is about the FBI surveillance of MLK during the 60s, basically starts from the late 50s all the way up to his assassination. And it's directed by Sam Pollard, who also co-directed Mr. Soul. It was a fantastic documentary that's coming. I think that just was released finally on VOD. And yeah, it reuses a lot of archival footage. All the archival footage just looks crisp and clean. You would think it was filmed yesterday and not 60 years ago. Also, they bring in a small group of experts to kind of talk about King and not only the FBI's history of surveillance, but also King, I think, as a person. I think what this documentary does well is that it kind of takes away the deification of King and really humanizes him in a way that I don't think many people have seen.
How about One Night in Miami? Have you had a chance to see that?
Yes, One Night in Miami blew me away. It might have been my favorite film of Tiff. Yeah, it's a fantastic debut, a feature debut. She's directed TV before, but feature debut, directorial debut for Regina King. Great period piece. It's a funny period. It's surprisingly very funny. These you get these four legends together: Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown, and you get some great performances that usually, in a period piece kind of biopic thing, you'll get a lot of artifice. There'll be people who are just kind of they're caricatures of the people they're playing, and I feel like every single actor in this film embodies exactly who they're playing. It feels real. The conversations that they have about Black liberation and the route to get there is visceral. It's all around fantastic work.
Regina King is coming out from a fantastic streak from, If Beale Street Could Talk, Watchmen, now One Night in Miami. I mean, it seems to me that she's been one of those talents that we've sort of taken for granted, and now that she's finally getting the spotlight that she deserves.
Yeah, she's had an incredible, just a long career. Like she's been around since basically the mid '90s, and it's been fantastic seeing her. Being able to spread her wings and people taking notice of her, and now she is showing how multifaceted she is.
Mm-hmm. So let us talk about some films at the festival our festival that you haven't seen that sort of have piqued your curiosity.
Yeah, so I'm Your Woman from Julia Hart. Yeah, that the other Amazon film that's playing at the festival. I love Julia Hart's Fast Color, which I think did some interesting things with the superhero trope. And I think the trailer for I'm Your Woman dropped a day ago or 2 days ago. So yeah, I'm a really big fan of hers, and I'm really looking out for that. And let me see. I'm trying to think. Oh, the opening night film, Belushi, is another one that I'm very interested in. I haven't gotten a chance to wheel around and see it, but I think anyone who's who's like me, who obviously is from Chicago, is aware of Belushi's comedy legacy, whether SNL or in films, is going to be very interested in that.
One of the nice things about the festival this year, I'm going to take off my publicist's hat and put the critic one, is like there are all these connections between films. We have Belushi and for Mad Men Only, the biography of Del Close. I mean, we're talking about Michelle Franco's New Order, but I keep thinking about the Latin American films and how they all deal with marginalized communities in a way. We have The Special from Venezuela and things that are not done from Mexico that deal with these particular communities, the indigenous and the Afro-Venezuelan ones. So one of the nice things is I'm seeing all these connections that, sometimes I don't think programmers think of those connections. They look at the films, they look at the overall quality, etc. And it's just when they start building that jigsaw puzzle that you realize, well, look at this. This may, these films are beginning to have a conversation with each other.
Yeah, and two films that actually came immediately to mind when you were talking about that: MLK FBI and One Night in Miami, both set in the '60s, both very much about the surveillance of Black leaders. and One Night in Miami is their surveillance of Malcolm X.
Yep. So perfect. Robert, thank you so much for your time. That covers everything. I hope you have a good festival experience this year. Don't forget to send me your wish list.
Yeah, I will. I've got a long wish list.
Well, folks, that's it. Thank you, Robert. And we'll be having a couple more of these critics picks throughout the festival. Stay tuned through our Facebook page, our Twitter accounts. There will be more to come. And happy festivaling, everyone.